hey again, guys. It's me, that guy from The Thing. You know, The Thing. In this video, we're going to do some stuff. Disc brake conversion up front, steering system, the entire brake system, lines, booster, bell crank for the shifter, cooling fan, custom valve covers. If you're real good, maybe we'll even do something exciting. Said maybe. There you go. You can watch The Thing. Well, one annoying little thing, taking 2 steps back on my brake caliper brackets. You know, you might want to test fit things. In the instructions, they just say trim the bracket as necessary. Well, I got them painted and I was going to put the brakes on, and the little bump stop on the back of the spindles there, they would hit, you know, and steering is very difficult when you can't steer. So anyway, making cutouts on that side of it. Got to do this one yet. Then I guess I rescuff them up and reshoot them. Just part of the game. Okay, let's throw this on here. I was in town and I picked up another grade 8 bolt for the steering arm here. Would have been a nice gesture had they given you just, you know, then the leftover bolt. Since you're putting 3 new ones on the spindle, why not 4? But that's okay. So just kind of hang that out there and scratch the paint up. Long one in the bottom. Those 2 there, and then we got 3 little spacers. Line all that up. Better get this in here. Like so. I just got done double checking my bottom grease zerk down there. Making sure I can get to that. What's with you? Alright, I've got my adapter here. This is going to convert to different bearing, obviously. Now they suggest using an 1.5-inch piece of pipe to do this. I'm going to tentatively use the brass punch here and see how hard it goes on. I had thought it'd be nice if I brought my little toaster oven. And we could just get that up to 400 degrees or so, and it'd probably plop right on there, you know. Okay, this brake conversion kit is basically based on specifically 78 to 81 Camaro. The rotors and the calipers, outer bearings work just fine. Grease seals are, I believe, for that application as well. The adapters are made to accommodate that. However, the inner bearings are based on, or for, 71 to 80 Pinto, 70 to 78 Mustang is what they say in here. which is like an A-13 bearing. So we need to knock out the GM bearing that's in here. Or race, rather. And I think we got it. And then the kit came with our new race and bearing, the Ford-based one. It feels fine. Got a socket here about the right size. Okay. Make sure I don't see picture. That's okay. Alright. Where's Bob Buckets? Guy there, and I'll just pack our outer bearing while we're at it. I will let you know what brake hoses I end up with. Our first try, they're just a little bit too short. So we've got our adapter on here that came in the kit. Should accommodate that Ford bearing and our GM seal. Now our grease ball here. Okay, now a spacer from the kit, and our stock 40 Chevy washer and castle nut. I also have spindle caps coming to accommodate these rotors. I didn't even check if the originals would work. I want new ones on here, so now we'll just do a cursory adjustment. I think probably sideways would work best on this one right now, and I'll get a pin in there. So we're going to move on now to calipers. Again, the caliper is the late 70s Camaro style and into the early 80s. Now there was the two tabs here. You can see one remains, but this, what I would call the inner one, interfered with our bolts that hold our bracket on. The only thing they mention in the instructions is to test fit everything and check for interference. You know, it would have been nice to just lay it out in the instructions, but I guess you're going to get there one way or another. So get our bushings in, our pads. All right, bleeders on top. Something like that. Having alignment issues, but I want to check. Yeah, we've got clearance back there. So far, looks like I need to be bumped in there. There we go. sockets in the bolts, they do not like any size, metric or standard. I'm using the 3/8, but you really got to jam it in there to get it to work. Let go. Okay. Bleeder back in there. And as I say, we will wait, get our cap, get our lines, and those will be done at a future date. Feels good, looks good. I think I'll move on to the steering. All right, I want to get a little bit of anti-sneeze on here. On our threads. Ought to be plenty. Our adjusters, or our clamps. And I think we were twins of each other, if I remember correctly. Unless the thread is opposite. Okay, now when it comes to your joint assemblies, you're going to have, looks like a little flat tappet, right? And that's going to go in there and be the base instead of the formed sheet metal being the base. For your spring, and then your spring's going to be up against a cup. And then obviously you're going to have a cup on each side of the ball, and then your end plug. Definitely you want to check according to the manual. Pay attention when you pull this stuff apart. I know the base model cars, you know, that did not have knee action and so forth, they have similar steering, and the base, what looks like a tappet on some are drilled, and the grease zerk is down out here, and the grease has to flow through that. And then you've got holes in your cups. Some of mine were actually plugged, full of hard junk, so I had to clean them out. You've got grooves in here, you know, to make sure you're spreading the grease across the circumference of the ball there. So just make sure that's all cleaned and looks good. And then the only difference on this particular pickup was on the pitman arm joint itself. So this one here, which I need to unmask it. The spring on that one was up against the outer plug, not like this. Also, one of my cups had a burr on it, so just make sure everything's in good shape or your steering is going to be unhappy. The springs are in there to take up road shock, is what they claim. You know, when you're going through the back 40 in all the ruts, you want that comfort steering. Give it a cursory first greasing here, and we'll hit it with the grease gun after. All right. Now to adjust these things, all we simply need to do is tighten it till there is no play, and then back off to the first available cotter pin hole, which is right there. Slightly more. Something like that. I will squirt the end of that plug with some paint and then put in new pins, and that's set. Okay, I have my steering gear temporarily set in place. Of course, it will have to be adjusted, you know, when we get a cab on here, test fitting, so on and so forth. We'll have to make that perfect, and I'm still messing around with the bushing for the horn. I've double checked that my steering wheel would be at center where it's sitting now, and so this is pretty much going to be in the most straight down position. We have 4 master splines. There is a stamp mark going that way, and I'm guessing that's what that was supposed to be anyway. But if you get it a quarter off, it's going to be just ridiculous, and if you try to put it on backwards, it's going to hit the leaf spring in the frame. So there's really not too many ways you can put that on. Okay, let's see if I can get through this so that it makes sense and that we all understand what's going on. I made note that the spring side cup, I'm calling these cups, on the pitman arm is up against the plug. The 3 other joints, you have just a bare cup on this end and then the plug. Okay, so I know this is indeed my pitman arm, end of this linkage. Now on the other one, as I was saying, we have a grease zerk, and then we have our little tappet thing, the spring, I think they call it the spring seat, goes in there, and then your spring and then your cup. If I were to leave that solid as it was, and I don't know why it was, the grease could never get to it. It's beveled in here, and this thing is beveled, and so you would have, there is no direct path for grease to get to the cups, right? Now in the manual on the Master 85 models that have a similar steering, they say there's a grease, some of these are drilled, or all of them, I don't even know for sure, so that grease can pass through and get through the hole to the cup. So I put this in my lathe at home and I drilled a hole through it. It will not hurt the performance if I'm wrong. That hole won't matter. But as far as I can tell, that's the only way we can get grease through there. So that's why I did that. I don't know why it wasn't done, whether that was an oversight, whether it's been replaced at one point or another, and they just didn't get one with a hole. I have no clue. I do know that this on the steering arm looks fine. It doesn't seem any more worn out than the rest of them. It actually looks really good. So I have no clue. We're just gonna slap some grease on there. Make our hands smell real good, you know. Okay. That one's upside down, so we'll start there. That would be the more difficult one. Like that. And then the other cup. And then der plug. And I'm wishing I had that wrench here, but it's on the other side. And then we'll have to take this out, I think. Come on. You stubborn turkey. There you go. Uh-oh. They've caught up to me. Okay, now these are different from the tie rods. The tie rods, like I said, you bottom them out snug, and then, sorry, I got to count here. That's half, that's 3/4. You bottom them, the tie rods down snug, and then you just back them up to your first available cotter pin hole. And they've got quite a few holes drilled through the whole circumference, so it doesn't take much to get to the first one. This link, you tighten it down snug, and then they want you to back it off. I think they say even to take advantage of the shock absorbing capabilities with these springs, back it off half to a full turn. Okay. And this one is only going to take a half turn. That one took 3/4 to get it lined up. There's only one available option on this link here. So, also got these. Debating whether I even want to put them in or just kind of tape over my hubs for now to keep dirt out until I get wheels. Do the final adjustment there. I need to get cotter pins, and we need to grease. Let's see if this grease, well, this isn't the right one, but let's see if we get grease squirting out through here. Yep, there she comes. Okay. So that drilled seat is going to work. All right. Kingpin. All right. Let go. You gotta let go. Ow! Now we're gonna see if we can get the old horn bushing in here. I've got it in warm soapy water. I've got a regular wire pass through, and I'm just gonna, shouldn't be too difficult to pull this through there, so I'm just gonna tape it like that. Really cool that they do give you original style wire. Not the twist lock connector, but I do have that somewhere here. Get in there. Alright, well that's already cooled off, so. Big surprise. I'm gonna grease it up more, like the old pig. I may have to bevel this thing, I don't know yet. We'll find that out. And then we've got a little punch mark right there. And that's as far as this thing needs to go. Do I have that in line before I get carried away here? The wire should be right about there. Yep, I may have to trim it. She doesn't want to start. So what I'll do, I'll just go to this belt sander and just bevel this edge here and try it again. Well, the guy's got it started. They do say in the paperwork that came with them that the size of the tube, they have seen, I think, a difference of 40 thousandths from vehicle to vehicle. So it may be difficult, you know, if your tube is on the smaller side. Boy, that was a rude thing to say. But I'll keep working with it. It's also a kind of a soft EPDM rubber, so that doesn't help, you know. Oh. Okay, I've done it once more. Didn't work. I've sanded. I went out and I kind of scuffed up and sanded down the entire thing. You know, I didn't get too carried away. You can see the inconsistency there on the surface, but I don't want to go too far. I also noticed that right in this region here on the mast, I don't feel it anywhere else, but I had quite a rolled over lip there. So I'm going to file that down. And hopefully that's a lot of what I'm struggling against. It may have been a smart choice to clean this thing up, maybe prime it, and then install this, and then block off all the holes and paint it. Because you know how that goes. When you got something nicely painted, assembly kind of just scuffs and dulls all that up. So, D-U-L-L, dolls, not dolls. All right, I've got a good feeling about this one. Full disclosure here, I have got it out again. Let's see, get you in the light and the shadow lines. You see, I assume they installed this at the factory so many years ago, and then they crimped her down a little. You can see those lines. Foolish me, I thought if I get it sized right to where it's moving inside the tube, that's such an insignificant little bit of a crimp that this soft outer rubber coating would easily smoosh in there. But no, it got stuck hard and fast, and it was actually quite difficult to get it back out. I have sanded it down a little bit more. The problem is, if I go much more, I'm going to start getting into my brass contact ring there, you know. And that would be, if that engages the mast jacket sidewall in there, then we have a full-time horn. I'm a little worried about it as it is already, so I don't know. I'm going to make it a big grease ball with a lubriplate. I've tried silicone. We'll give it another shot. So far, it is going in much easier. Measure that with a pick. A little stop here, there. Okay, I went past the stop. Well, I'll knock it back about an inch. Goodness. This thing is kicking my hiney for some reason. How's that? Yeah. So much for paint work. Now for the important test, which I should have done immediately, but I did not. Make sure we... Okay. Whew. Thank goodness. And I can cross it. Well, I'd have to get the thing, but anyway. It's not grounding out. It's important to stay hydrated. Oh, I forgot about the echo. We'll be all right for one segment. I have media blasted both of our valve covers. The one that was black with all the junk hanging on it, I had to weld up a couple holes, and we'll take care of all the little dimples and everything that needs some body filler. Anyway, I drilled 2 more holes here and here, and that is going to accept our, just going to weld bolts on the inside, and I made sure I spaced them where they would not interfere with push rods or anything like that, you know. So I don't think they would anyway, but just to double check. And then this one will get the same holes on the opposite side. Our bolts, little 1/4-inch bolts, I media blasted just the head. I'll put them in here. Cinch it down with a nut so it's nice and tight up against there when I weld on the inside, and then that'll be good. And we'll have a nice stud to hang our wire looms off of with a rubber lined clamp. And then once I've got that, we'll just, you know, body filler, prime, paint, good to go. Caliente, caliente. Woo, woo. Get out of there. Now, as for the fuel, this is pretty much going to be a complete Tanks Incorporated setup. I've got their AN fittings, their push lock, twist lock, I forget what they call them, hooked up already at the pump, the supply and the return. I don't know if you can see it from your angle right there now or not. I've got their snap-on connector inline fuel filter there, but that's really all that I feel I can do right now. I've got their special fuel line push lock hose. That's what they call it. I got 25 foot there, and then considering what I wanted to do, I bought 10 more feet just in case, because I don't want to run out when I start installing it. And all of it will be their AN, their -6 AN fittings. Front to back, I always have a proclivity, if I'm using that word right, to put steel lines in, and I still want to, but probably on this project it will all end up being their push lock hose from front to back, and that's okay. It should be just fine. There's just not much sense cutting it up at this point, honestly. So because everything is their push lock hoses or fittings and AN fittings and so on and so forth, from the fuel rail to the tank. So that's what I'm going to do there. But to place the regulator, I really want that at the firewall, most likely, and I really need the cab, you know, to proceed with that. As for our brake hoses, what I originally did is I bought both a 87 Camaro rear center hose, and then this is the 40 Chevy center hose. And I was like, well, I don't like it, but we could just put an adapter in there and get that going. And that actually would have reached probably to where the original, the brake hose adapter was originally, you know. Got online and I bought this metric, I think it's an M12 1.5 bubble. Let me get this out here. To the 7/16 double flare adapter. Got that on eBay, and this I really didn't like this arrangement. You know, that as far as replacement, it would be more ideal in a way because you would know your application. But anyway, this came with a business card, and it was, maybe I should go get it. So I got that adapter from eBay, came from Brake Hoses Unlimited. Brake and clutch hoses, and you can see the guy's information there. And so I just called him, and I said, could you make up for me a rear Camaro metric T to the 40 Chevy 7/16? And yeah, absolutely he could. So I bought one of those, and I bought it in, I think, 20 inches. And then I moved this bracket that's down here, not sure you can see it right now, from over there to over here, since this is where our Camaro has it teed off at. And that is going to work really nice. And this is US made hose. It's not that Sunsong brand that I don't like. And then, while he was at it, I had him make up custom hoses. Now, you can buy this similar thing on Speedway, probably Summit, probably Jags. Anything to go with these late 70s, early 80s calipers that are such a popular conversion. You can buy this banjo-style fitting hose going to, I don't know if that's 7/16, that might be something different. It looks a little smaller, but I'd have to look into that for sure. So a stock Camaro hose was too short for this application to get from the caliper to the frame mount. So he made up these just a little bit longer for me. So we can put those in. Now, as far as moving forward with the brake system, I really need a cab on here as well in order to know where exactly to place our master cylinder booster pedal assembly. You'll remember on the 54 green and purple pickup we worked on how bad that pedal arm was rubbing on the floor. And I don't want that to happen here. Of course, we can always modify a pedal. I'm not saying that, but it would be nice to get it closer. Anyway, as far as the brake system, I really need to go get the old cab, the original, put it on here, and we can start nailing down where that booster goes. So I guess I'll do that. Like, go do it. Oh, okay. So old Nick down at the brake hose shop was nice enough to send along some washers, copper washers, and the hose clips, which is a nice touch. Really appreciate that. He asked me if I wanted this extra layer of kind of protective hose here also on this, and I said, yep, get her done. Might as well. And I just can't tell you how much more confidence I have in this hose. And when I go to a parts store and you get that Sunsong brand and they're like half this diameter, I don't understand anymore. I need a punch or something. Alright, let's put it through its paces. Looks like it'll work. Something to be aware of when you're getting kind of these hot rod Camaro-esque style hoses. On these, you know, we just put the Camaro ends on or whatever, and the 40 Chevy brackets are have a perfectly round hole that this fits, but then we have these flat spots that come to a point and they will not go through that hole, you know. And so I popped this clip out and then I just barely touched the sharp corners on this intermediate thin area with the bench grinder, just enough to get it mostly round in order to go through the 40 Chevy bracket. You could modify the bracket too, but that seems to be a much harder operation in my mind than just modifying these. A guy has Journey going round and round in his head, and he can't get rid of it. No, that's Rat. You know, I'm talking about Journey. Don't Stop Believing. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Well, here's where we're at. First of all, I really dislike doing this kind of thing once you've got the final paint on and so on and so forth, but I work myself into a corner and not much we can do about it if we want to get it right. I threw the cab back on here, but my brain is lying to a guy. I was sure I had a toe board. I knew I didn't have a floorboard, but I can't find it, so I must not. I could wait for the new one that's coming, the salvage one that is coming with the new cab, but I could also run home and grab one out of my 39 truck. Just make sure I get things in the right spot. Now, this aftermarket assembly, pedal assembly, they put this severe dog leg in there, and I don't know what what application that would work on. I just don't understand that personally. To put this on a frame and then to still have this shot off to the left, that doesn't make much sense to me at all. If you look at the original brake pedal, this of course would have been mounted on the transmission, and your brake pedal's pretty much straight, and that gets it to the right side of the steering mast in there. And when you put this on the right side of the steering mast, this wants to touch the transmission, and this is just hanging out in la la land. So obviously I am going to have to modify and straighten this arm out, and who knows what else we're going to have to do. So I guess I will disassemble this and just kind of start from square one and figure it out, and then also maybe go and get that tow board. Well, maybe I'll leave early and go do that this evening. Okay. I have my bracket just vice gripped on there, kind of in an arbitrary place, kind of at the right angle. It's square or straight forward and aft, you know. And can see that the center of our pedal here is about dead in line with the center of the steering gear. So I'm kind of wondering actually if this wasn't a mistake at the factory and they bent it backwards from the direction that they should have. Don't know that for sure, but it would be just about perfect if this was the opposite. It'd be a little too far actually, but I think what I'm going to do, I am going to leave it here, take some measurements, and kind of draw up some kind of plan here. I don't know if I can get this to go on backwards, if that bottom end is going to be in the way. Somewhat. Yeah, I mean, it really goes too far if you do it exact opposite, but you get the point. So either I'll modify this one or make a whole new one. No, I won't make a whole new one. I'd just like to get an idea, but here we go. It might work there, talking about the base. It might. If we got enough adjustment and everything. A guy thinks he is just on the right track here. I've got this bracket all the way forward till it hits this thing, but I think that's okay. I have reshaped. I took my pedal, I bent a rod, a welding rod, and I took this to Dad-in-law's and used the iron worker, and I reshaped this to where it's pretty nice. I did go home and I just measured on my 39 truck where this comes out, and we're pretty close, pretty close. When I hold this all the way up and put a straight edge across where my floor is going to be, and I'll have that as a starting point, put a rubber bumper on here, you know, up against the floor or whatever, and then when I let it all the way down and it hits the header, at that point I have 4 inches of travel. So that should be more than enough for our master. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to leave this. I would like to at least mimic something like this. Not sure yet. Maybe incorporate a small rectangular pad if I can find something like that. Also, it is looking really hopeful that a square body throttle or gas pedal is going to work. Here's the one on my 86. I've got about 7 inches from the pivot to the pivot on the pedal, and 7 inches up to where the cable attaches. And so if I mount that job right in here, 7 inches up is just about in line with our throttle linkage on the Edelbrock, and coming down 7 inches, and that has a nice dog leg in it to accommodate the floor and the square body, the toe board. So it may work out pretty good. We'll just have to see. So I think I can, oh, one more thing. I don't like their geometry for the Heim joint. You know, if I hold this pretty well straight, it in no way lines up with the hole they have, which was the case in that 54 as well. I did what I could and made it a little bit straighter and shimmed it out and so forth. But I'm gonna do better on this project than that was left on that one, which I did not do myself. But anyway, I'm just gonna drill a new hole farther up here, and that should go a long ways towards taking care of that. So I'm gonna pull all of this out. I think I'm gonna play around while I have the cab on here a little bit more with the shift linkage, since we have a floor sort of level here. We were waiting on that, and then I'll pull the cab back off. Quick look at the finished linkage with the bell crank kit in it. Kind of a thing of beauty. Shame to cover it up. I get the feeling I should have done this first. Got these little 3/4 standoffs or bushings from the hardware store. I'm going to leave the 4th one off. I've got this little bracket, I believe, goes here. At least it's a pretty good guess. Obviously, that won't be finalized until we have the pedal completely done. Thought I ordered a set of these and apparently only got one. Oh, don't you break off. And it looks like my L's gonna be shot anyway. Well, that's annoying. So if I like it, I will order another one. May need to order two. Oh my, come on. be a problem, aren't you? I don't know what kind of glue I should use on that. Yeah, that won't look too bad. Well, consarn it, a guy forgot. I'm making brake lines here, and I was going to, well, I had the original set off of the pickup here, and I was going to compare, you know, what I'm doing here with the old one. But anyway, we've got obviously our proportioning valve in here, and I've got the left-hand line made going to that, and then the other one on the bottom was going to be this one, so I kind of did the factory style except going the opposite way around, and that'll meet up with the proportioning valve there. And then I will get that installed now obviously I made it all in one piece if I can get it through engine mount past the steering gear, underneath this little mount, underneath the master, and then finally there. I just don't know. May have to take everything off, not sure. Anyway, and then I am making mine, this one, come off the front of the proportioning valve, and that is for the rear brakes. So it'll be there, come to the frame, go underneath this cross member, and along just the inside bottom of the frame rail. And then at this point, it will curve back out and hit our brake hose. Takes a lot of time. I also sprayed down just all the raw cast. I'm just spraying with the same engine color just because why not, you know. You won't see half this stuff anyway. All right, I was able to finagle it through that motor mount, which was the biggest obstacles, and I think we're going to survive and get there. Might have to, you know, massage things back into place. This kit is coming to us through the courtesy of the Stop Shop. You know, after I paid for it. They were very courteous after that part happened. I've got a broken porta-power, Nova pistons, Nova parking brake, 40 Chevy steering wheel, doing brake lines. Situation normal. Corvair hinge. I know you won't be able to see it, but I've got this guy, as I've said, going to the valve. That's just kind of going to hook right there. See if we can thread. I'm going to run line armor on this yet. But if I could get this sort of maybe started, we just need to, I think we need a little bit more angle on it. May have been too much. owner of the rig was here and dropped off a parts cab, or a donor cab, or whatever it turns out to be. So that's pretty exciting. I think I'm gonna go probably all the way up to where it goes into the frame. So right here. I'll try to show you a picture of that. Try to remember to show you a picture of that. Something like that. All right, see if we can judge this somewhat accurately. This bad boy back there. Something like that, maybe? All we can do is try. Something like that, maybe? See if that kind of lines up with what we want. Hey, we almost... Well, yeah, I mean, we hit that pretty good. Maybe a trifle long. A little more than a frog's hair. Certainly less than like a buffalo's hair or something, you know. Something that has thick hair. I think I'm gonna shut it off right there. Put some armor on it. Flare it. Good to go. I forget what all I've shown you, but I popped my steering gear and my brake booster back out, and I've got all my clips for my homemade lines in. Everything is nice and secure, and I've just gone through and made sure that nothing is rubbing hard against the frame, and we won't have any vibration problems and things that cause leaks. So wasn't that fun? God bless you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Okay, I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.